Hi, my name is Bunny Cakes and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to discuss the requirements of my particular bariatric surgery program and give you an idea of what you might expect if you are thinking of getting bariatric surgery, um, or if you have decided to get bariatric surgery and are worried about what to expect because you haven't started a program yet. So I am getting my surgery done at Cabell Huntington Hospital with a doctor named Blaine Neese. Um, I've met him and he seems to be a very great surgeon. And Cabell is probably the best hospital in my area. Um, that's not to say the other hospitals aren't great. It's just the bariatric surgery program at Cabell is the best that I can easily get to. So I found them by doing personal research. I looked at all of the hospitals nearby and decided that Cabell was the best one. And the first step in the process was to call the intake coordinator and start asking for more information than I could find on the website. And then I registered and I had to attend a seminar. It was about 2 hours long, and I got to meet the intake coordinator in person and a few members of Dr. Neese's team, and I got to meet Dr. Neese himself. The seminar was actually completely presented by Dr. Neese. He discussed the various types of surgeries that they do at Cabell, which are the gastric sleeve bypass, or the gastric sleeve resection, which is what I'm getting. The gastric bypass. They do the lap band. They do the duodenal switch, but only as revision. And then they do things like the Obara or Obara balloon. And he goes into detail about all sorts of things like that and complications that you can have, and the various things like BMI and comorbidities that make you a person who is eligible for bariatric surgery. The next step was to complete the application. Um, my program was actually nice enough to mail me the application, and so I filled it out before I went to the seminar, and then I turned it in at the seminar. Um, I really liked that my program had a seminar because they definitely presented a lot more information about not only their program but about the surgeries that I wasn't able to find on my own. So the third step is the first appointment with the surgeon. I met Dr. Neese again. They took vitals and they did blood work, and took my patient history, a lot of which was actually in the application, but they were just reconfirming to make sure that no mistakes were made. And they did a body scan thing, which it looked like a ginormous scale like you would have in your bathroom, only ginormous. And it had handles, and you step on it in your bare feet, and it measures your body composition. And they took my height so that they could get my BMI, and I had a really long conversation with the surgeon about the surgeries that I was interested in and the surgery that he recommended, and we both discussed why. We actually were in agreement on me getting the gastric sleeve. My other best option, in his opinion, would have been the gastric bypass, but because I'm so young comparatively to his patients, he felt that that would be probably the benefits wouldn't outweigh the risks at that point, and the gastric sleeve is best for me. Originally going in, I had wanted the duodenal switch because I have a friend who got one, but as I said, that's not an option that Dr. Neese gives. unless it's a revision from one of the other surgeries. And after learning some other details about that, I feel like that's much like the gastric bypass. It's a little more um, to the point where the risks don't outweigh the benefits for me. Um, so after the first appointment, you have to complete the insurance and program requirements. There are a lot of those. One of them is getting flow sheets filled out by your doctor, and here's, actually I have a blank one here. That's what that looks like. And it's basically you go to your doctor once a month, and they put the date on it and your name, your date of birth, your height and weight, and whether or not you've gained or lost weight. They write down like your comorbidities, like the main ones that it has for this one are arthritic symptoms of the weight-bearing joints, coronary artery disease, congestive heart failure, diabetes, hypertension, and sleep apnea, because those are all common comorbidities that if your BMI is under 40, that insurance will still okay your surgery. In my case, I have diabetes and hypertension, and then I have hypothyroid and back problems that are also written down in the extra space. The next section on that is the diet plan, the diet recommendation. My regular doctor, he put me on an 1,800 calorie diet. Dr. Neese would prefer that I go on a 1,200 calorie diet, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm definitely not hitting anywhere near the 1,200 calorie diet. I may on some days hit the 1,800 calorie diet, but both Dr. Neese and my regular doctor, Dr. Harris, have agreed that what I really need to focus on is getting my blood sugars under control. So my main focus is actually low carb over low calorie, but when I do well with that, it generally ends up being kind of the same thing. Not necessarily as low calorie as they would prefer, but it's lower calorie than I usually would eat. The next section is exercise recommendation. Dr. Harris recommended for me to walk 30 minutes daily, 4 times a week. And then there's another section, and then there's a section for my doctor to sign and date it. And for my insurance, I have to do this for 9 months. Both Dr. Neese and Dr. Harris have told me that most insurances either do 3 or 6 months. And one of the women on Dr. Neese's team said that she knows a couple people who actually had to do 12 months, but 9 months is weird. But I take this to the doctor every month, and we go over things, and he fills it out, and then I hang on to it until I get a chance to take it over to Dr. Neese's office. The next requirement for the insurance is a letter of support from your primary care physician, which they send to the surgeon, stating that they approve of your decision, and documenting the fact that you have undergone medical evaluation to rule out or treat other causes of obesity. And yeah, basically it's just rubber stamping from your doctor. I also had to attend a dietary class, which was quite interesting. They discussed tips and tricks for losing weight before surgery and after surgery, and gave a good idea of how life will be post-surgery, and informed us of some of the requirements we will have beyond just medical. For instance, I will be on a multivitamin, a women's multivitamin, every day for the rest of my life. I will, especially in the very beginning, you can only eat maybe 4 ounces of food if you're lucky. You have to schedule how you take your medicines. Not just because, and a lot of people don't know this, there are many medicines that people take that you're not supposed to take too close together. Like, if you take an iron supplement and a calcium supplement together, they cause each other to not absorb properly. Um, and because, of course, my stomach will be smaller, I will have to take, instead of sitting down and taking a fistful of pills like I currently do, I will have to break it up more. So like I might, in the very, very beginning, I'm actually on 2 multivitamins a day. So I'll have to take like one at breakfast and then like one at second breakfast, because I'll probably be eating 6 meals a day. Tiny meals. And they go over different types of protein drinks to um like be on the search for, since especially in the beginning when you're on the liquid point, protein drinks are going to be your main source of nutrition other than the multivitamins. And it was a really good informative class. I also had to attend a support group meeting. Um, the one that I went to was really fun. We got to talk to a clinical pharmacist, and she helped a lot in understanding the different medicinal needs and stuff that we'll have afterwards. The next thing I had to get for my insurance, and this is common, so common for all bariatric patients, that there's actually a bariatric psychology website that will help set you up with a psychologist who can do your psych eval. So yeah, I had to have a psych eval. It can be no older than 6 months at the point that I have my surgery. I also had to get baseline labs, like a CMP, an A1C, thyroid tests, chest x-ray, EKG, those kinds of things. Some people have to have stress tests. I didn't have to. Some people have to do a smoking cessation program. I don't smoke, so I didn't have to. It was recommended by my doctor to lose 15 to 20 pounds because he prefers to operate on people who have a BMI under 50, because there's a higher success rate of the surgery lasting, but also of the patient surviving surgery. I did have a pretty good roll on this, but now I am back to the beginning. So hopefully I can lose some weight this month, and because this is my last month before my flow sheets are finished, and maybe in the weeks leading up to whenever my surgery is scheduled, I'm hoping I can lose at least back to where I was before I ballooned back up to 226. So that's the insurance requirements. After you get all of that done, the doctor at the doctor's office will submit it to insurance. I have heard that it can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks to get approved. And not everybody gets approved on the first try. I'm hoping I will, because not only is my BMI over 40, which is the baseline BMI, but I've got like 6 or 7 comorbidities, and I'm hoping that my insurance will see that, given my medical history and my issues with losing weight and all of my weight-related diseases, that it will be cheaper for them to cut out 60% of my stomach than it will be to keep paying for all the medication I'm on. If you're approved for surgery, you will get pre-admission tests. I know that my doctor, my surgeon wants another A1C and another thyroid test and a couple of other blood tests within 30 days of my surgery. So they will order those once my surgery is scheduled. Then there is a pre-op education class where they will discuss more in depth the things I need to do to prepare for surgery day and to survive, especially the first week or so after surgery, and probably more in depth as well into what to expect the day of surgery, or the 3 days that I will be in the hospital. Um, After the pre-op education class, there will be a pre-op appointment with the surgeon, which takes place a week before surgery, where we'll discuss the surgery and such, I imagine, and make sure everything's okay. Then the week after that will be surgery day. And then the week after that will be a follow-up with the doctor. And then my doctor wants to do follow-ups, I think 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out, and then after that it's another 6 months, and then another 6 months, and then it's like at least once a year. Though I know that a lot of the things after a year that they will be doing will be things that a regular doctor can take care of. My program, when I had the first nutrition class, they told us that we will be required to not eat or drink anything 12 hours before surgery. We'll go to the hospital and get checked in and get prepped for surgery. We'll have surgery, and then there will be nothing except for maybe ice chips by mouth until sometime on day 2, where they will do a second leak test. They'll do a leak test during surgery, and then they do another leak test the next day to make sure that everything is okay, and then I'll be able to eat. While I am in the hospital, it will be purely clear liquids. After I go home they said that, like, if I have surgery on Monday, then I will go home sometime Wednesday. So when I go home Wednesday, if I feel like I can handle it, I can move on to full liquids, which is like thicker soups, no chunks, and pudding and jello, things like that, for 2 weeks. And then I'll progressively move closer to solid foods for the next 2 months. And of course, I will have to work on, they said they recommended getting in at least 64 ounces of water a day and 60 grams of protein, which doesn't seem like a huge deal right now with the size of my stomach now. When I was looking at it and adding up, which things have how many grams of protein, but when you can only eat like a half a cup of food at best, I know that it's going to be a lot harder. So I will probably depend fairly heavily on like protein drinks and protein powder for a while until I'm able to eat, and not upset my stomach. But even after my sutures have healed, it's going to be harder because if you can only eat 4 or 5 bites of any one thing at a time, then it doesn't matter if I can get 30 grams of protein in a porterhouse if I can only eat 5 bites of that porterhouse. So yeah, those are the requirements for my program. I've talked to some other people in other programs, and I've looked at some of the programs near me that have like their basic requirements on their websites, and my hospital seems to have a very comprehensive program. The support groups that I mentioned, I only went to one because that's what's required, and my hospital is like probably 60 miles away from where I actually live, so it's hard for me to get there. And that may be an exaggeration, I'm not entirely sure. But I know it's a ways away. It takes at least an hour or so to get there. So I can't go to the regular support groups as much as I probably should. That said, to make up for that, I participate a lot in online support groups, and I have friends that I can rely on that have been through, if not this exact same surgery, similar surgeries, so they know. And I think that's important. I wish I could participate more in the support groups that are through my hospital, because they do some really fun things. They have guest speakers like plastic surgeons. They had the clinical pharmacist, which was she was at the one that I went to, and it was really fun. They do like park walks and all sorts of things that I feel like would be really beneficial and really interesting if I were more able to participate. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea of what you might be able to expect from your bariatric surgery program, or it might give you an idea if this sounds like a good program for you, but you don't live near where I do. You might look for a program that has these requirements. Um, but yeah, I really think that Cabell Huntington Hospital is a great hospital, and I love their bariatric program, and I love the entire team of like 8 or 10 people that are involved with this. There's a huge safety net, and it feels comfortable. And I think that's what you should expect from your program, because they do their absolute best to make sure that you won't fail despite having the surgery. Um, so yeah, that's all I have. So remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Notification bell if you want to be notified of my new content. Videos over here from my channel that you might be interested in. Another subscribe button here, and a link to my booktube channel here. And also please share my videos if you think somebody will like them or they will help somebody you know, and to help me grow my channel. That being said, please remember to be strong, smile when you can, and always take care of yourself.